Okay, I am obsessed with the Candace show. Okay, I'm obsessed with all the drama. I think it's hilarious. Okay, I actually started watching Candace after she was fired from The Wire for speaking out against Israel's genocide. And that is the frame that was used, okay? Whether she wants to sit there and say, all I said is God is king. I'm not really even sure what the hell that means, but sure. That's not how we took it in the section of the internet that I dwell in. That I support the Palestinians' people to life, freedom, and the right to defend that life and freedom. I am very disgusted with the Democrat Party, who I've mostly voted for my entire life. Okay? Bennett nor Hickenlooper could even say that Palestinians had a right to life and freedom. And that's telling. Okay? I didn't vote for Harris nor Trump. Well, Donnie the Holocauster, our president of war, as we now have war on almost every inch of the planet. But, and soon, we'll have war in space. That's for another day. So anyways, yeah. So, but the whole thing, I mean, I hear these people, I mean, Alex Jones is like throwing a fit. Okay? Because Erica's been implemented. Let's be very clear. She is acting like a Black Widow. And furthermore, she certainly didn't marry him for love. She married him for money and power. I said it in the beginning. I will stand by that. I will die on that hill. That Erica never loved Charlie. Okay? She loved the money and power and what that bought her. That's what she loved. And she still has all that now. Okay? And that's why she has abandoned her children and gone on these tours. Okay? And whether what I actually think of that is for another day too. But the whole thing is so funny. And I hear people and they're throwing a fit and everybody's fighting. They're like, the midterms, Look, I'm not likely to give my vote to Bennett for our governor. Okay? I don't know who I'm going to vote for or if I'm going to write none in again. I am definitely not voting for Hickenlooper for our senator again. He signed the BDS laws. He still supports BDS. And he is unwilling to say that the Palestinians have a right to life and freedom. And for that, I just can't support that. And I will never support anything like that. That is something that is not within me, okay? I actually have some values, and I haven't been offered enough money to ever abandon my values. I have been drunk enough to alter my values sometimes, but never to just abandon them. And I instantly wake up in the morning and run out the door. Anyways, that's for another day too. So I am just loving it. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. Some of what she says is very believable. Some of it is questionable, but it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, she's allowed to question a lot of this stuff. The way that this FBI is ran and the way that these investigations are, it's crazy, okay? I'm not buying the whole Luigione is the murderer of that terrorist CEO guy, okay? I'm not buying that, okay? I'm also not buying this fact that this Tyler Robinson guy was Charlie's shooter. I mean, maybe him and his furry lover, trans girl lover was paid. I mean, I could see that if that came out. They were offered money to assassinate him. I could see that. I mean, here they are. They come from a very, very, very conservative households where throwing you out and, you know, and denouncing you, you know, is something that these people do a lot of. Okay. The parents do for just being gay. So they could have had money problems, and money is a big motivator for a lot of people, for a lot of things. I mean, and I personally, listen, I have a very weird relationship with the whole money thing. I'm not that sold into it. Okay. But that being said, it is what it is. Now, so that just seems, it seems like that could be possible. That could be something that I could possibly buy, but then who's paying the bounty? Was it Erica? Was she involved with another man and she wanted to eliminate her husband? Or is it the foreign nation of Israel, who Erica seems like she's an asset of, assassinating Charlie because he is abandoning, he said he had no choice but to abandon the Israel cause. Okay? And then he gets murdered. That seems a little bit suspicious. And we all know that Mossad is a very dangerous terrorist organization who has been able to assassinate people in the past, and get away with it. You know? So we have to also look at other people at TPUSA. It seems like there's some fraud and money laundering happening within that company, and I mean, those are all great motives for murder. So I don't know who's behind what, but I am definitely loving the whole thing where the Donald Trump, warmongers. They're not all warmongers, but I'm very interested in seeing these people fight each other. It is hilarious. It's so funny. And I'm in it for the long run. I'm going to find out where it all leads. In the end, I mean, everybody has their opinion on what did and didn't happen, but I am loving it. I see people crying all the time, and I like to remind those people who are crying all the time, the midterms, that I am never going to just vote for your guy. In fact, I do have an opening, though. If your guy wants my vote, all your guy has to do is denounce Israel. That's it. Just denounce Israel. And vow to cut them off financially. That's it. That is the only thing I care about. I care about cutting the snake off at the head. And Israel is the snake. And so I'm willing to. I hear people sit there, oh, it's Candace for president, Tucker for president. I guess I could vote for them. I would do it with extreme caution. But if you really want to get me on board and say, yeah, I'm 100% in, I would take Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey. Either one of those. And I'll tell you why I would take one of those people. Is because they've both been in government and they do understand government, and they're not likely to enact laws that force children to give birth to babies. And then who knows what happens to these babies. I mean, these people, I heard Tucker say one time, he's like, yeah, I'd give up my wealth if it would save babies. Well, then why did you support a party that over and over again told girls to not have babies they couldn't afford? Do you know how many people, including myself, who did have an abortion because there was no way I could take care of a baby financially? And I certainly didn't want to depend upon my father to care for my child. And this was bred into my head not to have a child I couldn't afford. And this is the decades-long scenario. So if that's what you truly believe, then why did you support that? And why do you still support that messaging over and over and over being told to people? I find it, empty, an empty saying. I don't believe that he's true because he has supported this group of people who have literally said over and over and over again, you shouldn't have children you can't afford. And to be honest with you, a private abortion is a lot more, is a lot less shameful than having a baby that you're toting around for 18 years, knowing that you had this baby that you could never afford to take care of. And it's very true that a lot of women have children on public assistance, but by the time they're older, in their 30s, they do in their teens and 20s, and then in their 30s, they no longer need public assistance by then, because they have advanced their life and to be honest, young people are poor. Most young people are poor, and having babies is for young people, so we shouldn't be telling them not to have babies. If you want more babies in the world, then don't be telling people not to have babies that they can't afford. So that's what I have to say on that one. Okay? And that really did irritate me when he came out and said that, and I was like, yeah, well, you're the one who sat there and supported this. All of these years, you supported this. But that's off topic. That's for another day too. I sit and watch a lot of people. I love Jimmy Dore. I do. I mean, I don't like everything that he says, but I love the fact that he covers all this stuff that mainstream media does not cover. Okay? And not a lot of other people are covering it. I never even knew him until one of these, I don't know if it was that Anna lady or that Crystal lady. One of them were on there, and they said that it was a story that we should all hear and know about, and nobody was covering it except for Dory. And they said it in such a derogatory thing. Who's this Dory guy? Let me go look him up. And I found him, mid last year, and I've quite enjoyed him since then. And so I watch him, and I watch that Kurt guide that he has on there, which I'm now following him in all of his conspiracies. I mean, some of it is conspiracy, some of it's not. I mean, he did grow up Jehovah's Witness, which is... Listen, I grew up with my father, and I'm Catholic because my mother forced Catholic or Catholicism upon us, okay? But I didn't grow up with her. I grew up with my father, and my father didn't go to church ever. And I'm not really sure. I mean, he read the Bible all the time. And the Jehovah's Witnesses would come to our house every week, and he would give them money, and they would give him pamphlets. They say, people can say that you don't have to pay for them pamphlets, but I don't know, my father always gave them money. And they would come every week to our house. And he would take them pamphlets, and he would be reading them pamphlets, okay? And every week when I was a kid growing up until we moved when I was 11, so basically from the time I was 3, from the time I was 11, well, I was almost 4, but my father bought these pamphlets from the Jehovah's Witnesses that came to our house, okay? As we became older and became teenagers, we would try to run them off. And it didn't actually work until we moved. I was 11. I'm the youngest out of the 5 of us. So that's why I say teenagers. But I wasn't really a teenager, I was preteen. But regardless, it doesn't matter. When we were able to finally run them off. Okay. And that's when they stopped coming to our house. But it's so funny because that's what he was, and he calls it a cult, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a whole lot. I did know a girl in school, and she didn't stand for her pledge. She didn't go on any of our field trips. She went to the library when we did birthday parties and Christmas parties and whatever parties. We did parties and stuff, and she would go to the library for all of that, which I thought was so weird. But I thought she was kind of weird too, because she didn't really talk to any of us. So, but as far as that, and I know people who were ex, you know, ones, but either way, I mean, he talks about it, and like, I caught him and Aaron, like, I listened to Aaron too from the Scientology, Aaron guy from Scientology, growing up in Scientology. That's his channel if you really want to check him out. I mean, he actually, my story with the Scientology, I thought, okay, well, all these celebrities are in it. Maybe I could, you know, maybe I could step my foot into this and see what this is about, you know? And this was in my early 20s. I really actually did think about this. And I had a guy friend of mine that I worked with, and he was telling me flat out, you don't want to get involved in this. But it was so weird. We were at their church for an event for something completely unrelated, okay? It was a rented space for something. And I was waiting for him afterwards, and I was like just panning through pamphlets. I mean, I touch everything. I don't know why, but I always have to touch everything. And so I was pounding through the pamphlets, and I kind of knew a little bit about Scientology. My father's a huge reader, and he did have some L. Ron Hubbard books floating around our house, and so I did actually have a little knowledge of what it was. I knew that they believed in some type of space god. Okay, now maybe a lot of these Scientology people who are in it didn't know that, but I knew that. And I was like, well, I kind of believe in that. I didn't actually realize that they don't believe in science until John Travolta's kid died for a lack of medication. They didn't believe in medicating their kids. But anyways, back to the story about the guy. I was pining through it, and nobody was around, okay? All of a sudden, I turn around, okay? And there's this lady that just appeared, okay? And she looked like she was wearing a potato sack dress, okay? I'm not going to even lie about that. That's what she looked like, you know? I mean, my grandma's Mennonite, so I kind of have seen people who kind of look a little weird dress like that. But that's what it looked like she was wearing, like this weird potato sack thing. And he came up and he took the pamphlets out of my hand. He said, no, you don't want to get involved with these. They're a cult and yada, yada. I mean, so I'm like, okay. And, you know, I'm like, okay. But it didn't actually register until after John Travolta's kid died. And if you want my personal opinion of it, John Travolta killed his kid because he refused to get his kid the medication his kid needed because he believed it was wrong from these crazy nutjob people, okay? I don't know if I would be susceptible to being brainwashed into Scientology like so many of these other people are. I mean, if in the big scheme of things, I would be diversion. Okay, I would definitely. I didn't fit into any mold growing up. I mean, we had like, you know, you have your preps, your jocks, your burnouts, you know, and what I actually classify as a socialist. I was a socialist. I socialized with everybody. Okay, I knew some of the dorkiest people, and I knew some of the most popular people in school. You know, some of that has to do with the fact that I am the youngest out of 5 children, okay? I have 3 sisters and a brother who are older than me that I met a lot of their friends, and, you know, and so I knew a lot of people, and we went to the same schools, and so, yeah, I did know these people, and I knew, you know, a lot about them before I even went there, and so they knew who I was, so, yeah, they talked to me. Whether they were popular, I actually found the dorky people because I'm just that kind of a person that I like everybody, you know? I'm always rooting for the underdog in every situation. And I am the person who, if you're picking on somebody, I'm going to go up and stand up for them. If they're unwilling to defend themselves, I will defend them for themselves, for them people. Because I don't like people picking on other people. I was the youngest out of 5. My sisters picked on me to the point of cruelty sometimes, you know? Anyways, I'm just loving the Candace show. I'm going to quit this because now I'm actually tearing up because I hate my family. But that's for another day.